Happy Sunday. It's Kyle Henderson, BamaInsider.com. Hope you have a great day with your family. I wanted to break down Alabama and South Carolina. Of course, we'll have the call-in show on Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Be sure and join me. Get in the call-in show. Would sincerely appreciate to hear from you tonight. Alabama moves to 3-0 with a 47-23 victory. Wanted to point out some stats, go over a couple sound bites from Nick Saban, Tua Tagovailoa, along with Nagi Harris. But first, let's look at the overall stats. And as you can see, Tua Tagovailoa completely balled out. 28 of 36, 444 yards passing, 5 touchdowns through the air, a rating of, get this, 227.2. Did a great job. And when you look at what he did last night, Tua was quick to point out that it was the other guys that made him look good. And I think he's absolutely right. I mean, it's not... I'm not going to take anything away from Tua Tagovailoa, what he did last night, because it's phenomenal. I mean, he's putting the ball where it needs to be. But at the same time, you know, a lot of open receivers, a lot of missed assignments by South Carolina. In fact, here's Tua talking about, you know, the simple fact is these other guys make him look good.
Record for touchdown passes in the game, and also to have the third most passing yards in the game for Alabama in school history.
Well, I mean, I think it really starts with our coaching, and it really starts with the guys up front, you know, and everyone I'm surrounded with. Those are the guys that make plays. Those are the guys that really make me look good. You know, if we just stick to what coach tells us, you know, I feel like things like this can happen. So, you know, all credit goes to those guys.
400-yard game.
I mean, big-time performance by Tua Tagovailoa, now over 1,000 yards with 12 touchdowns on the season. Continues to have a strong presence in the world of college football. Many celebrities last night and former Alabama players, you know, tweeting Tua for Heisman, also tweeting Jalen for Heisman. We can touch on that and later on in the program. Saw a little bit of Mac Jones come in. He 3 for 3 last night, 51 yards, passing rating of 242. So getting his feet wet. Rushing wise, it's kind of interesting to see this Alabama run game or lack thereof. I don't know if it's by design. Saban talked a lot about RPOs and you know, that South Carolina is stacking the box, and when they're stacking the box, you have to throw the football. I mean, you look at the rushing game last night, 25 of 76. Nagi Harris still had an average of 5.1 per carry, 7 attempts, 36 yards. B-Rob, 8 attempts, 33 yards, 4.1 average. But, I mean, the running game just was non-existent. But does Alabama even need a running game? I talked about that earlier in my takeaways that I post Sunday morning. What's your take on that? And here's Saban. He's talking about, hey, if it's not broke, talking about the offense, don't fix it.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. And if we're making it work and we're moving the ball and we're making plays, why change? And again, I'm going to tell you that probably half the passes today were run-pass options, RPOs. And you know, they were playing a lot of cover 6 and 8 guys in, you know, 6 in the box. So those are all reads to throw, and that's the deal. So I'm not apologizing for that because we continue to make plays. But I don't think you can totally depend on that. I think last year, you know, we got to where we were so good at doing that. We didn't do other things well when we played really good teams at the end. And, you know, we couldn't do enough other things to be effective.
So there's Saban last night talking about the run game and just the simple fact that South Carolina, when they're crowding the box, what do you expect Tua Tagovailoa to do in the coaching staff? I mean, you can't leave money on the table. That's what Nick Saban and Tua, they've been preaching about that during fall camp into these first 3 weeks of the season. I mean, if something's there, you got to go for it. And with the amount of talent that you have on the outside. I mean, look at what the wide receivers did last night. Devante Smith, 8 receptions, 136 yards, receiving 2 touchdowns. Henry Ruggs, 6 receptions, 122 yards. Jerry Jeudy, 6 receptions, 68 yards. And let's talk about the play of Nagi Harris. Nagi Harris last night really had that game that I wouldn't necessarily say a breakout game. Maybe that's what it was, but just the game where we wanted to see him just come out and dominate. And I think he did that against South Carolina with the play probably of the year when he caught the pass from Tua, threw a defender right into the turf, hurdled the other guy, and then drug a linebacker into the end zone. Last night, 5 receptions, 87 yards with 2 touchdowns, also had 7 attempts for 36 yards, as I mentioned. Here's Nagi Harris talking about that hurdle play and something that, you know, he didn't really even want to hurdle the guy, but based off the film, listen to this soundbite. Based off the film, he knew that defender's probably going to go low on him. So Najee's going up top. Here's Nagi Harris.
I try not to hurt her, actually. I said that on my last interview, but I guess just watching film, I guess we just know what I'm going against and player-wise. So I guess that was the time, I guess, to do it. I guess I don't know.
Heads up play by Nagi Harris last night. A big-time performance. Really glad to see him get things going. And I think overall, I mean, when you look at the offense last night, I mean, it was completely electric. And, I mean, they're going to be absolutely tough to stop. And I talk about this in my 10 takeaways. It's posted right now on BamaInsider.com. If you're going to beat Alabama, you have to outscore Alabama. And how many teams out there can outscore Alabama? I don't know. I mean, is Clemson one of them? I don't know. Is Oklahoma one of them? Is Georgia one of them? I think those are the only threats. Maybe Ohio State, I guess. But, you know, maybe this team, and in the world of college football today, I mean, how much is even predicated on a strong defense anymore? I mean, I think in today's world, it's all about the offense. We've even seen that translate to the NFL. Look at the two teams who reached the NFL last year, the Super Bowl last year. Stat comparison, Alabama had 571 yards of total offense to South Carolina's 459. And how about the play of freshman Ryan Helinski for South Carolina? 36 of 57. I think he came into that game, played with a lot of moxie. 324 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That first touchdown that he threw to Shi Smith, that was an NFL throw right in between Jordan Battle and Shaheen Carter. Big time throw. Tried to do it later again in the game. It was an interception, but big time throw. And I think, you know, South Carolina fans have to be happy with the fact that this young man has such a bright future. I really respect his game and the way he played against a very talented defense. Now, Alabama's defense, they got challenged last night, no doubt about it. I mean, look at the stat box. Check this out. 9 receivers last night for South Carolina caught 36 passes for 324 yards and 2 touchdowns. The average per catch was 9.0. I mean, that's incredible when you look at it. And Alabama actually allowed their first 100-yard rusher of the year. Rico Dowell, who had 102 yards last night, 8.5 per carry. So a lot to be, a lot to work on. And I think that, Alabama certainly has room to improve on the defensive side of the ball. And let's hear from Nick Saban continuing to talk about the run game and the defensive issues against South Carolina.
If we play 86 plays in every game, I mean, that's twofold. You know, we got to control the ball on offense, and I know we got lots of yards, but we only had 76 yards rushing, so we got to be able to run the ball better. Not that we run it poorly, we just didn't run it enough. And a lot of the plays that we ran today are called runs or RPOs. And we end up passing because they're playing 6 guys in the box. So it's not the play call as much as it is, the design of what we're doing. And I thought Tua had a really good game, did a good job of executing, in the game. But we don't have enough players to get through the season if we play 86 plays of defense, every week. But the defense has to get off the field. We had opportunities to get off the field on 3rd down. We had way too many penalties in the game. We stopped ourselves with penalties, and we helped them with penalties on defense by jumping off sides on 3rd and 10. Then on 3rd and 5, they score a touchdown. So 3rd and 10 is a lot different to play defense than 3rd and 5.
That's Saban talking about the defense. And before we talk about the defense, let's actually look at the overall stats last night, because he's right about the penalties. I mean, you got to clean it up. 8 penalties against Duke. And then yesterday against South Carolina, you look at the penalties that Alabama had, 11 penalties for 92 yards. And one last note that I wanted to make before we move away from the offensive stats, South Carolina actually had 31 first downs compared to Alabama's 25 first downs. In the time of possession, very similar. Alabama had the ball for 32 minutes of the game last night, South Carolina 27 minutes. So just like Saban said, you got to get off the field. When we look at the defensive stats, we see that Xavier McKinney led the team for another consecutive game with 9 total tackles. 5 of those were solos. He actually had an interception last night. Patrick Surtain had 8 tackles, and then Josh Jobe also had 8 tackles. And it's not really surprising because those guys were getting challenged so much. And with South Carolina throwing the football, I mean, you expect those defensive backs to lead the tackles for this defense. Shane Lee across the middle of the field had 8 tackles, 3 of those solos. Anthony Jennings got a lot of heat on the quarterback yesterday and had a quarterback hurry and 2 tackles for loss. Actually had 6 tackles in the game. Jared Maiden with 5 tackles. Ali Kahu, who saw time at the will position as they swapped out Christian Harris. What do you guys think about Christian Harris? It looks like Shane Lee is filling in nicely, but it looks like Christian Harris at times looks a little bit behind in terms of the defense schematics. And I think it's not surprising considering he's never even played inside linebacker before. And this is his first year against a team who passes the football. And maybe they swapped in Ali Kahu last night because he's a little bit more athletic and can do a little bit more in coverage. But I guess we'll have to see. I'm curious to get your thoughts about Raekwon Davis. I thought at times he did really well. Sometimes he didn't do as well as we thought he would do. I'd like to see him be more consistent. And what about Terrell Lewis? There was a couple times he got after the quarterback, and then a couple times it almost seemed like he was loafing. So I want to get your thoughts on the overall defense for Alabama. But we have to give credit to South Carolina, in my opinion. I think those guys did a really great job of, moving the football against Alabama. And Alabama, without a doubt, they had not been challenged through these first 2 games. Duke didn't give them a look. New Mexico State didn't give them a look. But I think South Carolina presented some good challenges for Alabama, and I think that's going to bode well for them overall as we move forward. Now, for those of you who don't know, I actually host a post-game show. You can call into the show, 205-686-3604. Sound off on the game. Here's a couple calls that followed Alabama's victory over South Carolina. The first is Jared from Buffalo, one of our top callers, and then also DJ from Ohio. Here are those 2 calls following Alabama's 47-23 victory over South Carolina. All right, Jared, break it down, man. 47-23. What's your take on this game?
We got a lot of work to do, Kyle.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. There's no question about that. There's got to be some changes going on. I think that we've gotten 3 weeks into this game. First SEC football. First week of SEC football. We need personnel changes, schematic changes. We need something different. I understand from Bama fans. It seems like that. People like me that we're just nitpicking, even though Alabama won this game big. But again, I'm going to say it. LSU today. We played Georgia today. We played Ohio State today, we would lose because again, I don't like to discredit South Carolina for what they did, but it was more on us than what South Carolina did. It was just a lot of just terrible matchups, terrible play calling. We couldn't get the plays out to our defensive players. They looked confused. Wrong schematics. South Carolina pretty much did whatever they wanted to do. They can just drive down the field. They ran the ball at will, which I'm kind of shocked South Carolina just didn't run the football more, but they ran the football at will. We couldn't cover any of the receivers. This was just a poor effort by our defense, and this was the worst defensive effort I think I've seen from Alabama since, guess what? Since Clemson. When you go against a superior team with athletes just like Alabama, you're going to get an outcome that Clemson that provided. And again, if South Carolina would have had a better quarterback, if South Carolina would have probably had a better, more talent equal to Alabama, there's no question that I would probably go that South Carolina would have won this game. And the scary part is that South Carolina had opportunities to make this game that the game probably still would have been a game going into even now. South Carolina could have easily could have put up at least 24 points easily in the first game. They just missed opportunities that absolutely killed them. But there is no questioning, Kyle. We have a lot of work to do, and this is not like the NFL, how you can quickly just change it up in the fly. This is college. You're either good or you're not. That's just the fact of the matter. That's just the fact. We got to get better, and we got to get it now quickly. Now the good thing is we got A&M in October. That's going to be our true test there. But I'm looking forward to the LSUs, the Georgias, teams with superior front sevens, superior defenses, and just superior talent overall that can match up toe to toe with Alabama. And the way that we're looking right now, we have a lot of work to do.
How's it going? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling from?
This is DJ from Ohio.
DJ, what's up, man? Go DJ.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man. So break this down for me, because my first question to you is, man, you're being hard on Ali Kaho. Why? Break it down.
Well, I was kind of like trolling a little bit. I did think, he didn't have his best game. He missed some tackles, but he's a young player.
Yeah.
And he's a sophomore, but he came in late as a freshman. I think with more time he'll get it together.
I think so too. Tell me, your MVP of the day, other than Tua Tagovailoa, was?
I'll probably go with Xavier. I think he played a really good game.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good to hear. You, because I think, throughout the show, we kind of talked about, the vulnerabilities of the defensive side, but you think McKinney kind of being back there is, with his leadership, you were pleased with the way he played today against a very good passing attack from South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, I think he played really strong. He might have led the team in tackles. I don't know, but
yeah, he did.
He did really good. He didn't miss many tackles neither. And he did a good job of getting the plays to everybody.
Yeah. And what about on offense? I mean, Devante Smith came through. And it's good to see him come through because I think a lot of the time, sometimes he gets overshadowed by those other wide receivers. So I think this game certainly probably increases his draft stock just because people really get to see what he's capable of. What do you think of Nagi Harris today?
Oh, yeah. I think going back to the wide receiver, I think he played a great game. I think he played great all the time. He just sometimes he has flashes, Ruggs or Judy. Waller, so he get kind of left out of the conversation. But he's a great player. I think he's probably the most underrated player on our offense.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Nagi Davenport, he did good. I think he had a great game, especially passing the ball wide. Gary, he always messed up on the names, but I think he had a great day. And I actually think the offensive line did a lot better than they normally did. I think they opened up some big holes for him. But I think he was just so shocked that the hole was so big, he kind of like stunned for a minute, like a little delay, like, whoa, is this hole this big? They did that. But I think they had some good moments. And I think the center, he had some errors, but
Chris
he
Owens,
played better as the game went along.
He did. There's a couple times it's interesting, but he's getting pushed back a couple times. I mean, he was right into his face almost a couple of those times. So it would be.
They was embarrassing him on a couple plays, but he stepped up.
Yeah. DJ. Well, I appreciate you calling in. We'll do the call-in show on Sunday, and we'll break it all down once we get those player grades and kind of let a day of college football settle, and watch Jalen Hurts tonight as Oklahoma and UCLA get it going.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed your show doing the game and stuff. That made it fun, doing the commercials and stuff.
Yeah,
and I appreciate all the hard work you do.
Hey,
and take care, man.
Hey, thank you, DJ. DJ, before you go, DJ is a premium subscriber at BamaInsider.com. DJ, is it worth it to become a premium subscriber?
No doubt, man. Cause I was like, I'm one of them guys that it's like I wasn't gonna pay no money to look for it. Cause I just had like a bunch of websites I would go to. I would go to like 4 or 5 Bama websites, different Bama type websites. But once I subscribed, I didn't realize how much information I was missing out on.
There you
Especially
go.
like the practice reports. And like you put stuff on YouTube, you give us, it's nice that you do that, give free content. But the in-depth stuff y'all go to on the sites and stuff, it's just like so much information. It's like you only really see maybe 10% just going to different sites trying to piece together information. But you see the whole thing, especially with recruiting. And with, everybody do a good job. You do a great job, Andrew Bone and Tony. Y'all are unbelievable staff. I'm proud y'all able to get that much content with just 3 people.
Man, DJ, that was a hell of an ad, man. We appreciate it. And that's the truth, though,
no
man,
problem.
because people don't know what's behind the paywall. They're like, oh, I'll just kind of get it somewhere else. No, the in-depth analysis, the stats, the level that we take it to is paramount. I mean, you want
crazy.
it. We got it at BamaInsider.com. And Alabama Crimson Tide fans, they want the best on the field, and you're going to get the best quality content. So like DJ said, hop on over, take advantage of your free 30 days. I guarantee you guys will not be disappointed. So appreciate it, DJ. Let's catch up again. I'll talk to you either on the website or I'll talk to you back on the call-in show.
No problem, Kyle. You take care.
All right, man. Take it easy, buddy. So again, Alabama takes care of South Carolina 47-23. Next up, Alabama will take on Southern Miss. That game is next Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Kickoff scheduled for 11 a.m. Game to be on ESPN or ESPN2. Following Southern Miss, Alabama will be at home against Ole Miss before having an open week on October 5th. Then head to College Station to take on Texas A&M. So there's a look at the next 3 games for Alabama. And let's go over actually the top 25 games that took place this weekend. As you know, that was an early game on Friday between Washington State and Houston. Washington State edges out Houston 31-24. Number 1, Clemson takes care of Syracuse. Syracuse has been pesky for them in the past. Trevor Lawrence throws 4 touchdown passes. As you know, Alabama got past South Carolina behind 5 touchdown passes from Tua Tagovailoa. Georgia took care of Arkansas State 55-0. Jake Fromm throws 3 touchdown passes. LSU shook off a slow start against Northwestern and 65 points. That offense really clicking for LSU. And then Jalen Hurts had a monster performance as Oklahoma rolled past UCLA. UCLA is bad. 48-14. Number 6, Ohio State took care of Indiana 51-10. Justin Fields had another impressive performance. Notre Dame takes care of New Mexico 66-14. Auburn took care of Kent State 55-16. Florida comes back to survive Kentucky 29-21. Felipe Franks, though, out for the season, unfortunately. Utah takes care of Idaho State 31-0. Texas beats Rice 48-13, and Penn State took care of Pittsburgh 17-0. In the late game, Oregon beat Montana 35-3. A lot of blowouts, but I think we learned a lot about Alabama from Saturday's game, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where this team progresses going forward in terms of the run game, in terms of the defense. I think we all know that Texas A&M is going to be a very formidable opponent here coming up in mid-October, so Alabama certainly needs to button up. But I will catch up with you guys tonight on the Call-In Show, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Be sure and log on to YouTube or to BamaInsider.com. We're bringing it, taking your calls. Until next time, this is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com.